This webinar.
So good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Webinar Wednesday from Sight and Sound Technology. My name is Stuart Lawler. It's great to be back with you all again. Today, we're absolutely delighted to be joined by Jenny from Selvas Healthcare or Stroke Hims. I know some people in different parts of the world call it different names. But Jenny Axler is a long-time friend of Sight and Sound, a friend of mine, and always enjoy having Jenny join us because not least because she brings a big crowd, she draws a big crowd, but she always has some new and interesting technology to tell us about. And today we're going to learn about one of the products that was hot at CSUN this year, and that's the Braille eMotion, which is the latest Braille product to come out of Selvas Healthcare in South Korea. Now, if you'd like to engage with us today, and no doubt there will be lots of questions, you can do so on chat by pressing Alt and H if you're on Windows, or activating the chat button on your mobile app of choice if you're joining us on either iOS or Android. Sharon will be keeping an eye on chat, and we will go to chat messages later on. And you can also raise your virtual hand, Alt-Y on Windows, or activate the raise hand button, be that on iOS or Android. We are going to hold all questions until the end of Jenny's presentation. So please keep your questions coming into chat or raise your hand if something pops into your head. And we will go to questions at the end of the presentation. We do ask if you're raising your hand in particular, and if you want to ask a question, please be mindful that there's a very busy room today. And we do want to make sure that as many people as possible get the chance to ask a question. So we would be very grateful if you can keep your questions to a minimum and keep it concise so that we can get through as many people as possible. We'll try and do this thing within the next hour and 15 minutes. So we're very grateful to Jenny, who has moved since we saw her last from South Korea to Jenny, I think it's the Midwest, but I'm not sure. You'll correct us if not. So I think it's about 8 a.m. for you. And thank you very much for joining us. And we'll hand over to you.
All right. I love coming to these webinars because whenever I do this, it's the best part of my job. I get to introduce new things. So I'm always happy to be here at one of these Sight and Sound webinar Wednesdays. And today is no exception. I am introducing a new product called the Braille eMotion, which, as Stuart mentioned, was launched at CSUN about 2 weeks ago. And we kind of had our big reveal. So now you'll get to have a little bit more of a detailed look at it. Yes. So to clear up any rumors that might get started, yes, I have moved back to the United States, but I'm still working for the international office. I'm not working for the Austin office. So I still work for the office in South Korea. I've actually been here for 4 months. So those of you who may have been concerned about that, you probably notice nothing because nothing has really changed. I'm just doing my same job remotely. So it is 8 o'clock in the morning here in the United States. I believe we do have a couple of our Korean colleagues here as well, where it's 10 o'clock at night. So we're kind of all across the world at all different time zones here. And we do have a little bit of a limited time frame. So I'm just going to jump right into this. So the Braille eMotion 40 is a 40 cell Braille display, which is sort of indicated by its name. So excuse me. Foundationally, it is a Braille display product. However, I would say that this one actually heads a little bit more toward the note taker space than some other models. It may be most competitive to the Brilliant, but it does have some notable differences. One of them being that we have media support. We have a media player and a voice recorder that even supports USB audio devices, which basically is a happy accident of Android. The fact that Android just natively supports those makes that work. I'm going to give you a quick tour and then we're going to go into the menus. And I do apologize if for those who can see it, I may not get everything visually, well. I've got a lot of things happening here. I have an Android screen mirror that's showing the screen. I'm also running loopback. So again, I also apologize for any of my computer sound getting through. And that is related to the Android screen mirror, which is also taking my audio. So here we go. So on the top face, we have, of course, our Perkins style keyboard. Many of you will be pleased by the fact that the spacebar is now below the Braille display with Control and Alt to the left and right of it. To the right of it would be dot 8. You're going to find sort of a large rounded square button, which is our power button. And to the left, you have three keys. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the Sense Player, these are going to be somewhat familiar to you. We have a Wi-Fi, a Bluetooth, and a connectivity key. So you short press these to sort of turn things on or off. In the case of connectivity, it'll return to your last connection. It'll go back to terminal mode and return to your last connection. Um, when you long press these keys, they open up the various settings menu. So wireless settings, Bluetooth settings, and then the connectivity menu. Then,
alert to everyone. Hi, Stuart, Sharon, and Jenny.
as I mentioned, I have loopbacks, so you guys may not want to do that. Okay, anyway, moving on. So again, for those of you who are somewhat familiar with the Focus, the body shape of this device is slightly similar to that in that there is sort of a protrusion in the front.
To everyone. Good afternoon to all of you. It is a great pleasure to be with us to discuss about this device.
Okay. Forgive me, but can I can I please ask you not to just send greetings, because this is going to come through for everyone, because I'm having to use Loopback for my Android screen mirror. I know it's very kind of you to say hello, but for this particular presentation, it would be less disruptive if you could maybe not do that. Okay, I apologize.
To everyone.
Thanks. Okay. So on the front of this, we do have sort of that normal protrusion that you would see on the Focus. So all of the buttons are going to be different, but the shape is sort of, as I said, a bit similar. On the front of that, we do have what we call our home key, which will get you to your main menu, and it's also going to go home in iOS and Android, where you would normally use Space H. You can use this home key to do that. And we have stereo microphones on either side of that. There is a sloped front edge then that has your typical, what we would find in the Braille Sense, F1, F2, and then on the other side of the front protrusion, F3, F4. We also have a couple of keys to the left and right of all of those. On the very left, close to the left edge, is something we call the cursor key, and close to the right edge is the right cursor key. So we have a left and right cursor key. These are used in conjunction with other things as modifiers. I don't think that their functionality is entirely defined at this point, but we do use them in conjunction with other keys to make things happen. They don't really do much individually by themselves. On the very front right edge is a micro SD card slot. Now, if I move around to the left edge, which you're not going to see very well, but on the left edge, we do have a USB-A host port, and we have a record button because, as I mentioned, this does have a voice recorder. On the right side, we have our USB-C port, which I currently have connected. We have a headphone jack. And then again, for those of you who are familiar with the Sense Player, we have the same voice control and volume buttons that the Sense Player has, and they have the same functions. So that is actually what it looks like. So I want to take a minute to go through the menus. As I mentioned, this is sort of headed a little bit toward the note-taker space. You're going to find many things that you, again, Braille Sense users and Sense Player users are going to recognize. For the most part, this is not quite like the Braille Edge and Q Braille in that when we do parallel a program here, it really does parallel the Braille Sense program for the most part. For example, the notepad is much more full-featured. It's going to look almost exactly like what the Braille Sense notepad looks like. It doesn't emboss. Again, the file manager looks almost the same, but it's not going to support cloud drives, things like that. So there are a few changes, but for the most part, these are the same robust programs that you're going to have in the Braille Sense. So we start out with the top, we start out at the top with something called
My eMotion. Why?
My eMotion. So My eMotion is, aside from its strange connotations, is actually something like this PC or my computer. So what this is going to contain are your default folders on your flash disk. This is not going to allow you to access other folders or your external drives. If I move down,
File Manager, F.
we have the full file manager, which will allow you to access your micro SD, your USB, and various other things. Okay, I'm going to move down.
Notepad, N.
Now we have the notepad, as I described. This is very similar to what we have in the Braille Sense, minus a couple of things like embossing.
Connectivity, C.
We have connectivity. We will explore this a bit further a little bit later, but this is where you're going to access all your different types of connections.
Document reader, K.
We have the document reader. Again, this is a direct parallel from the Braille Sense.
Daisy player, D.
And again, with the Daisy player, this does support both Daisy audio and text, and of course, then books that contain both.
Media player, M.
We do have our media player, and again, there are very few differences. There are some things like, for example, open URL that you're not going to do because we don't have a browser, but for the most part, this is going to be the same.
Utilities, U.
We have a utilities menu, and I'll press enter here.
Voice recorder, V.
Here's our voice recorder. Again, you can also launch that with the record button. A long press will immediately start a recording. A short press will open this application.
Calculator, C.
We have a calculator. This is the Braille Sense calculator, not the Braille Edge calculator.
Display time and date, D.
This is,
Wake up alarm, A.
these are self-explanatory.
Stopwatch, W. Backup restore flash disk, K. Format, F. Sleep timer, J. Upgrade Braille eMotion firmware, U.
So again, for those of you who use our devices, all of this is going to look familiar.
Utilities, U. Settings, S.
We have settings.
Braille options, B.
So one thing we've done in this device, and I think this will probably be a bit of a trend, we've also sort of done this in the Sense player. We have broken up this huge global options dialog into 3 sections. So we have Braille options,
Voice options, V.
voice options,
General options, O.
and general options. And now when you press space O on this device, you're actually going to access that submenu so that you don't have to deal with one long dialogue with like 55 items in it. Okay, I'll continue to move down.
Set time and date, T. Set up internet, I. Bluetooth manager, M. Backup restore Braille eMotion settings, K. Quick start guide, Q. Initialize Braille eMotion options, C.
Okay, and those are the items in the settings menu. So again, a lot of this looks familiar. A lot of people ask us, okay, so what are you using Wi-Fi for? Right now, we are basically only using it to upgrade the firmware. However, there are plans to add book search and download. It is notably absent at this point, but it is something that we are planning to add. Okay, I'm going to
Settings, S. Help, H.
Now, our help is a little bit different. When you press enter on this, usually it goes ahead and opens the manual. If I press enter here,
User guide, U.
I do have the user guide, which if I press enter will give me a navigable user guide as usual.
Information about the Braille eMotion, I.
And we've moved information into this menu. We just thought that seemed sensible.
Help, H. Help, H.
And that is the end of the menu. So one of the things that I do want to talk more about, of course, is going to be connectivity. That's the foundation of this device. And that's going to be, I think, what interests most of you. What do we support and how? So I can do 2 things. I could press the letter C. Actually, I can do more than 2 things. I could press the letter C from here as usual. I can also use the connectivity button. I can press it once to go into my most recent connectivity mode, or I can press and hold it to bring up the connectivity menu. And I want to take a look at that. So I'm going to press and hold the connectivity key.
Connectivity. Connection, USB legacy, U. One for listening item. In my opinion, it makes Braille reading easier and efficient.
Okay, guys, if you could please refrain from sending messages till the end, I would really appreciate that. Okay. Let me start that over.
Help, H.
Okay, so I'm going to press and hold the connectivity key.
Connectivity. Connection, USB legacy, U. One for list item.
So we have 4 items here, and it's telling me USB legacy as my first item. The reason that we have to differentiate that is that we support both USB legacy and USB HID Braille. Of course, that is the new standard. For those of you who are not familiar, The HID Braille standard is basically an effort to make Braille displays plug and play devices as though they were keyboards or mice or audio devices. You know, it used to be when you connected a printer, you had to install all kinds of software and drivers. But in more recent builds of Windows and Android and pretty much any operating system, you plug in a printer and it generally works. It's the same way with audio mixers, at least several of them, and keyboards and mice. You generally don't have to install software. However, with Braille displays, we've had to continue to do that because they're so specialized. So, what the HID Braille connection does is basically allow them to immediately connect. And we will demonstrate that just in a moment. So the USB legacy then is going to be your older connection type. JAWS still does use this a lot because of some of the specialized things that they are doing. And many of you will be interested to know that we are also updating the JAWS driver finally. So we will support all the Braille in things. We've also updated our key maps. So it's going to operate much, much more like the Braille Sense as far as the keystrokes that it uses, even in JAWS. So we think that you'll find this a much more enjoyable to use with the eMotion. So anyway, I'm going to move down.
USB HID Braille H24 list item.
So here is the USB HID Braille. If I move down,
Bluetooth B34 list item.
we have Bluetooth, and we do support 5 simultaneous Bluetooth connections. I'm going to move down one more time.
Pairing list C44 list item.
And here is my pairing list. There are also shortcuts to get to all of these things from within terminal mode as well. So now I'm actually going to remove my screen mirror. Sorry for those of you who can see, but in order for me to use USB connectivity, I have to do that because I've got to replace the USB port. So I'm going to do a couple of things here really quickly. I'm going to reroute my audio to my mixer, and I'm going to plug in the USB to my phone. So
Your screen share has been stopped. Zoom webinar. ZP toolbar parent WND. Zoom.
Jenny,
Screen
can I
share.
just ask, does that mean your screen share is stopped now? Can we allow people just to put stuff in chat again? It won't disrupt you.
no,
now,
because
is that right?
I've still got loop back happening.
Yes, okay, that's fine.
If you could wait till the end.
Okay, hold your questions, folks. Yeah, okay, perfect.
Okay. So
Space. Solar view list view. Downloads checked. 8 of 28.
Oh gosh, it's always the fun technical things. Okay.
CR adapter connected. Connection. CR adapter disconnected.
Just a minute.
Connection. Pairing list C44 list item.
Okay. We're finally here. Okay.
CR adapter connected.
Try again.
Connection. Pairing list C44 list item.
Okay. So here's the deal. I have finally connected to USB. This wouldn't be so hard, except my connections are very close together and I have too many things on my desk. So I apologize for all that.
CR adapter disconnected.
And it's
Connection. Pairing list CR adapter connect. CR adapter disconnected. Connection. Pairing list C44 list item.
do apologize. This is because
CR adapter connected.
okay.
Connection. Pairing list C44 list item.
So it wasn't plugged in all the way. I don't know. For those of you who can see the camera, you can see how close these are. It's a little bit, it was difficult to get them both connected at the same time, the audio and the USB port. So that's where we were going with this. Okay, so
CR adapter disconnected.
and it's still
Connection. Pairing list C44 list item.
Okay, I am going to go to
USB legacy. USB HID Braille H24 list item.
and I'm going to press enter.
USB HID Braille terminal mode.
So now it's in USB HID Braille terminal mode. Now I'm just going to open my phone.
8:22 a.m. CR adapter connected.
8:22 a.m. Accessory connected. Accessory connected. Enter passcode. Enter passcode. Passcode field 0.
USB CR adapter connected.
Apple folder. 12 apps. Utilities folder. 9 apps. Productivity folder. And it's connected. Basically, it's that simple. So there's no pairing. There's no anything. You heard a few things happen, but it did say HID Braille connected. I can now see my everything happening on my Braille display. If I move on my phone, for those of you who are watching, communications folder, 6 apps, media folder, 9 books folder, 6 apps. You can see that it's moving on my Braille display. I can also use my keyboard then, of course, to control my phone. 9 apps, books folder, creativity folder, accessibility folder, 4 apps. So what HID Braille does is just make this extremely easy. For those who are not technical or for those who are deafblind and cannot hear to make the pairing or who need assistance, basically you just plug it in, unlock your phone, and you're good to go. So I'm going to leave this. Oh no, it says my battery's low. Lovely. So now I'm going to return to my connectivity menu by pressing and holding this. Actually, I'm not because I'm in terminal mode.
Cellular, 4 bars. Signal strength. Status bar item.
All right, I keep moving things. Because I'm in connectivity mode, I actually have a different keystroke to use. So I want to go to Bluetooth, so I'm going to press the center key and the enter B.
Pairing mode, Braille Edge 60.
So now I am in pairing mode, and I am just at it. Oh, goodness. I am looking for something that I thought was right here, and it isn't.
Zoom webinar, downloads. Zoom webinar.
Oh, stop. Sharon, can you see my Android phone? Oh my gosh.
Oh, sorry, Jenny. I can just see the
The eMotion?
Braille eMotion. Yes.
Folding
Yourself.
list view. Not selected. Downloads not checked. 828.
It was, oh, here it is. It's hiding.
Yay.
Okay, so I'm in pairing mode. Oh, goodness. All right. I'm going to unlock this.
Successfully connected to Pixel 6 BRL. Successfully connected to Pixel 6 audio.
So something else that we can do via Bluetooth is connect the audio. I think so now you can actually hear my everything wants to just chat away. So now you can actually hear my Android phone via the Braille eMotion. It's actually coming through. And the Braille display is also moving. So I have both connection. So where this is going to be useful, I actually think one of the most practical use cases is when you're using your PC. Because you might want to leave your PC in your office and you take this to the couch and you're activating it wirelessly and doing what you want to do. So then you want to take the audio with you. I mean, you don't want to be listening to the audio from the other room, right?
Very low raised hand.
So anyway, this is what this does. So now that I'm connected, now I have all of these various shortcuts that I can use. Remember, I pressed center enter B. I actually forgot to talk about the center key. It's between the dot 1 and dot 4. This is just another modifier key that we are using for various functions. And I did forget to mention that during my orientation. The space bar is below the Braille display with Control and Alt on either side. This one is actually directly between the Braille keys on the top. So this actually has much to do with input, etc. So we have center enter B takes us to Bluetooth. I can go back to my HID USB connection if I press center enter U.
USB hit Braille terminal mode.
And if I
Eclipse. Freeform.
now I'm using my keyboard and
Band.
I'm back to my iPhone. I can do center enter B
Terminal mode Bluetooth.
and
Google search. Google app button.
I am back to my Android mode. Okay, so now what if I want to do, let's say, make a note in the notepad, for example? I can actually do that. We have, if you press space with this center key, you actually toggle between standalone and terminal mode. So I'm going to do that right now.
Help H.
And I'm back to my main menu.
My emotion Y.
And if I can just press the letter N to open the notepad.
Top of document.
And I can just type.
Hi, comma. How would possible? Hi, how's it?
So then I'll press center space again.
Terminal mode Bluetooth.
And I'm returned.
Oh. Voice search button. Camera. You can have one notification.
to using my Android phone. So you have all kinds of shortcuts and things that you can get from one thing to another here while you are connected. You can switch between your connections. Again, there are 5 Bluetooth connections, so you can also switch between them. If you press the connect key with enter, you can go to your next connection, and the connect key with the connect key with space will go to your next connection. The connect key with backspace will go to your previous Bluetooth connection. And then you can change the type. For example, center backspace U will go to the legacy USB, center enter U goes to the HID Braille display, and center L will go to the pairing list. Center A will flip your audio to off if you want to turn it off while you're, in mid connection, and center space then will toggle you between terminal mode and standalone mode. So you have all kinds of things that you can do. You can pretty much get anywhere from anywhere as far as any of your connection types, as well as your internal applications. So I actually don't think I'm going to demonstrate too much more. I think I would rather answer the questions that you have. So now feel free to type all you want into the chat. It's
Okay, thanks, Jenny. Great presentation, and thank you for bringing us on a tour of the Braille eMotion. I know there'll be lots of questions. I might give chat a chance to warm up because I know there were some, and we might start with a raised hand, and Sharon, we'll come back to you for chats then, if that's okay.
Oh, that's grand.
So we have one raised hand from Derry in Dublin, only down the road from me. And then if anyone else wants to raise your hand, you can do that, Alt and Y, or activate the raise hand button. So Derry, you should be able to unmute yourself. And I see messages coming.
Hi, Stuart and Jenny and Sharon. I hope you all can hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you, Derry.
Great. So
Hi,
Jenny, hi Sharon. Jenny, when you're in, say, Microsoft Word, you're reading a document, what are the navigation keys like for the Braille display?
Sorry, when you're reading a document?
Reading a document. So have you got next line, or where are the panning buttons?
The panning buttons. Goodness. I'm sorry, guys. I get really nervous when I do this. I need to be honest. And so the panning buttons, the other problem is too, I kind of assume that many of you are familiar with our devices. And so they're actually where they always are for those of you who know our devices. For those of you who don't, there are panning buttons on either side of the Braille display. And of course, we do have the normal cursor routers that we generally have with every 5th one marked. And yes, I should have mentioned those details. But yep, they're going to be just as they are on the Braille Sense.
So to the left and to the right. Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. Good luck with the Braille eMotion. It sounds like a great device. I must say, I'm enjoying the Sense player now at the moment.
Thanks, Derry. Great to hear from you as always. Okay, let's go to Marcia Mackay. So Marcia, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Yes. What since the wireless is not used to download books, how would you go about doing that with this particular new product that you have out there?
Well, you could download them to your computer, to your note taker, whatever, and you could load them on a USB drive or a micro SD card.
So you cannot load directly to the display then.
You can connect the display to your PC and see it as a mass storage device also, or a media, sorry, it's a MTP device. So yes, you can copy if you connect it to your computer.
Or like I have a lot of my books on my phone. How do I how would you do this, for example, on your iPhone? Because I have an iPhone. So you do that just usual Bluetooth mode and download it that way?
How would you normally,
okay, what I normally do, because I do have a Focus. What I do is I open up my Bluetooth and connect my Focus. It's already connected, and I just download book, like for example from the Bard mobile, or Bookshare,
yeah,
through Easy Reader.
Right. So you mean you use your Focus as a Braille display for your iPhone and read them there? Yes?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
uh-huh.
yeah. I mean, that's what this device does. So yes, you can do it that way.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
And
brilliant.
what is the price?
I think that you probably, so something I would like to say right now is that this is a UK webinar. And so Stuart can answer sales questions regarding the UK, but for America, I would ask you to contact the Austin office if you could.
Oh, all right.
Okay,
Thank you very
thanks very
much.
much, Marcia. Great to hear from you. We will come back to pricing in a few minutes. So we have Alexandra Kazasiuk. I really apologize if I mispronounced that, Alexander. But you should be able to unmute yourself. Hi, Alexander.
Hey everybody, hopefully you can hear me well.
Yes, we can.
I've got two quick questions. First, what about the noise of the display when it refreshes the pins? And second, does it support SD cards to store things like BRF files and stuff like that? Thanks.
Yes, as I mentioned, it supports micro SD and USB-A drives. And as far as the noise goes, I used it several times, so I don't know what you could hear and what you couldn't, but it was not very far away from the microphone. It's using KGS cells, and that's really the best way and the only way that I can really answer that.
Okay, got it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Alexander. Great to hear from you. Okay, we're going to go to Cara Adams, and then we'll go to Matthew. Matthew Horspool has his hand up as well. So we go to Cara first. So, Cara, you should be able to unmute yourself, I hope. And
Hi, it's Carol.
Carol, apologies.
Yes,
My apologies.
That's all right. That's all right. I wasn't here for the beginning because I was working. Sorry about that. But is it Android based?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, that's fine. I just wondered, what the what you call it was, whether it was Linux or Android or whatever. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Carol. Great to hear from you. I know Carol has been at our webinars before. Let's go to Matthew Horspool. Matthew, you should be able to unmute yourself. We have
Indeed.
you.
Hello. I have so many questions, and I will try not to hog the floor because I'm sure I'll get to see one sooner rather than later, and I'll get most of them answered at that point. But slightly esoteric question, maybe about the JAWS driver. You mentioned that you're updating the JAWS driver. This is very, very good news. Do you have a sense at the moment of when we might be able to see that JAWS driver, and is it going to work with all of the displays, or is it just a separate JAWS driver for the Braille eMotion?
So I don't know when we'll see it because that's sort of under Vispero's control.
Sure.
They are doing the final checks at this point, so I assume that it will be fairly soon. As far as the updates go, I think that it's probably going to be a bit of a mixed bag. Most of the updates will apply to everything, but there will probably be a few things that only apply to eMotion.
Sure, that's fine. Thank you. And included in the updates, I have to ask, are you supporting the split Braille feature as part of this driver update?
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I'll hold the rest of the questions until I've had a chance to see it. Thank you.
All right, Matthew, thanks a mil, as always. Okay, we'll take one more hand, and then, because I know there's a few things in chat, and we'll go over to see how Sharon's getting on. Nikki Moore. Nikki, you should be able to unmute yourself, and we'd love to hear your question. How are you, Nikki? Hi.
Hi. The Australian price of the eMotion will be $4,595. I happen to know that from Pacific Vision itself, which is going to be our dealer out here. The question I had was around Bluetooth and JAWS. How's that going to work?
How do you mean, how's it going to work? It'll work as any other Braille display would work.
Okay, so basically we're going to have an eMotion Braille display thing that will come up in the, you know how you have that drop down list in JAWS of all the Braille displays that you can select, and then basically that way, I imagine, rather than just the HIMS one, which is the standard one that's sitting in there at the moment.
It'll come up under Braille Edge.
Yep. Oh, okay.
Okay, Thanks for that, Nikki.
No
thanks,
problem.
Thanks for your question. Okay, that's all our raised hands for now. If you want to raise your hand, Alt and Y, or activate the raise hand button on your mobile, excuse me, on your mobile app. Sharon, have we anything in chat that you wanted to bring to our attention?
We have a few little questions. Sorry, I had to switch off chat there because it was way too distracting for the presentation.
Yeah.
So a little power play there. So we have a question just to which enterprise does this device belong? I guess that's HIMSS.
I'm not sure if I understand the question. It's
to which enterprise?
I think it might mean who manufactures it. I presume that's the I think I saw that question too, and I wasn't exactly clear what it meant either.
Yes, it's a HIMSS device.
Yeah.
HIMSS, yeah. That's Adele. If I've misread your question, please do let us know. Jane said she would have liked to have seen the addition of thumb keys. So it makes it easier to read Braille and more efficient, in her opinion. But I'm not sure what thumb keys are, so
I understand.
Okay. Will the Braille eMotion, as Stuart says, be supporting one-hand operation?
Yes, it does.
Yep.
Yeah, it does. It does already out of the box.
Fantastic. And Milton says, does the display support EPUB?
Yes, in the notepad it will read them. Yes, and the document reader, actually, both of them.
Perfect. Well, that was nice and quick. That's all the questions so far. But feel free to ask more people in chat. I have switched it back on, so work away.
Yeah,
Thanks,
and I have a raised hand from Carol, Adams, and Matthew. So we'll go. We've more now. So we'll go in order. So we'll start with Carol, and then we'll come to Matthew, and then we'll keep going after that. And I will also, whilst we're doing this, I will confirm the price of the eMotion in this part of the world, because I know a number of people want to know that as well. Carol, I'll get your name right this time. You should be able to unmute yourself.
Yeah, so someone was saying about the thumb keys. They basically mean the keys at the end, the panning keys. They do the same thing, basically. That's all I wanted to say.
Brilliant. Thanks for clarifying that, Carol. I don't know, Jenny, if you wanted to add anything else, but that's essentially, I think Carol has summarized it.
Yes. There's it's difficult to change the hardware at this point. I understand that some people prefer that, especially those who are used to using humanware. We are considering adding some similar functionality using these front cursor keys that would emulate that, but do understand that this hardware is kind of finished. So aside from reconfiguring what some of the keys do, we can't change the keyboard itself or the hardware itself at this point.
Okay. Yep. Okay, perfect. Let's go to Matthew, and then we'll go to Desmond Bryan. So Matthew has loads of questions to ask, so you can throw in a few more, Matthew, if you want.
I know, I'll try and be careful. I have a question for Stuart, actually, and I have a question for Jenny. The question for Stuart first. While you're looking up the prices, could you also give us some information about the release schedule? I mean, can we buy it now, or if not, when can we buy it? When's it available? The question for Jenny, because I guess, Stuart, you might need to look that up. The question for Jenny, you mentioned being able to do audio over Bluetooth, which is fantastic. I think this is really, really useful. I'm wondering, I think you said it was only Bluetooth at this point, but I wonder whether you could clarify that. And if it is only Bluetooth at this point, is there the potential to have audio over USB as well? I'm thinking of the use case of, especially if it was class compliant, I'm thinking of the use case of installing, for example, Windows on a laptop where the laptop doesn't have the driver for the sound card. Obviously, the laptop sound card is a non-standard driver, but you could connect in your Braille eMotion and it'd be class compliant audio. So therefore you'd have an audio interface that could work.
I think that would be a rare situation. But no, unfortunately, audio is not going to be able to be supported over USB.
Okay, thank you.
And Matthew, quick and simple answer to your first question is not before May, is what I've heard. And I don't know anything after that, but it's certainly not, at least for the next month. It won't be available. But we'll obviously, I think there will be an option for people to pre-order on the website shortly, but we will not have any devices available before, certainly not before May.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
No problem. Just as an aside, anybody going to Site Village in Blackpool next week will have a chance to see it. That's on the 9th. And anybody coming to Bristol on the, oh my goodness, the 13th of, on Saturday week, the 13th of April, will also have a chance to see it at the Canute event for Braille Music that we're also participating in. Okay. Let's go to Desmond Bryan. So Desmond, hopefully you can unmute yourself and we'd love to hear your question. Hi, Desmond.
Yes, hi. Hi. A message for Jen. Jenny, I wonder whether you could clarify. You said we won't be able to emboss from this. Is it a Braille display or a note take? I'm a little bit confused.
That's a very good question. So yes, when I said that, I was sort of comparing it to the Braille Sense and kind of talking about some of the things in similar programs that they both have that it doesn't do. So the Braille Sense is, of course, our note taker line, and it's able to handle formatted text. It's able to handle math. We have, podcast search and web radio and web browser and email and an organizer, a to-do list and a calendar and address manager and all kinds of other things. We also, of course, can install apps from the Play Store. The Braille eMotion isn't going to do any of that. So it is almost a basic note taker, but it does not have all the functions of our note taker line, and it's not going to have all of those functions.
So if I take notes with it, how do I get it embossed in terms of how do I transfer it to an area of my IT which can print it out?
It's going to depend on your situation. Of course, you can save it to a USB drive, of course.
Okay.
So you would be able to do that. Or a micro SD card. Some of the printers, again, it's just going to depend on your situation. Some of the embossers will actually emboss directly from USB drives, or you can, of course, use a PC or a note taker that will allow you to do that. But that's probably going to be the easiest way.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Desmond. Thanks for your question. We will go back to chat in a few minutes. I know there's chats coming in. But I'm going to go to Jasmine Metcalf, and then I'm going to go to Arthur. So Jasmine, you should be able to unmute yourself. Hi, Jasmine.
Transcription closed. Captioning has been enabled. Press F6 for more information about who can see this transcript.
Just a quick question. Is it the same cell technology that is used in the Braille Sense 6?
Yes.
Okay, that was easy. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jasmine. That was a very easy question. Okay. Arthur Purica. Arthur, you hopefully can unmute yourself.
Like so, there we go. Hello, everyone.
How are you?
So my question, hopefully it's quick, but with the USB, there's obviously the two modes now. You've got legacy and HID. So for the JAWS driver, do we select HID or legacy? Which one do we use?
You use the legacy for JAWS.
Okay. Yep. No problem.
Okay. Thanks, Arthur. Sharon, I don't know if you want to, is there anything else in chat we want to mention?
Yes, we have, just bear with me 1 minute. Oh, yes. What about HTML? So we have no browser, but can Notepad or Document Reader read HTML files in some way or form?
Yes, it can. If they're locally stored, it can read them.
Oh, great. Add that to the list. And will the Braille display support an Amazon Fire tablet?
Yes, so it's going to work as any Braille display is going to work, as our Braille Sense, our Q Braille, anything. So as far as this is more going to be about whether or not the Amazon Fire tablet supports a Braille display, which it does. So yes, you can, they are compatible.
Great stuff. It's just yes to everything here, isn't it? It supports everything. And then we have a question just about offering payment plans for the displays, but I guess that really depends on who the distributor is.
It is.
As to what payment plans are available.
Yeah, and I saw that query. And just for anyone in the UK, if you get it, the best way to do this is get in touch with the office. We do have payment plans through PayPal. But you really need to check with the sales team because these things are changing quite quickly. So just they'll be able to maybe advise you on the best way to do that.
Great, good question. And yes, so Matthew mentioned, just following up on Desmond's question, what format does the notepad save in?
So it's going to save in BRL, BRF, TXT, doc and docx, although those will be unformatted, but we do save in those formats so that if you want to take it to a PC or something like that and format it later, you can do that. No, it will read more things. It will read EPUB and PDF and HTML and XML and all of that, as well as all those same formats.
Great. And Jackie, hi Jackie, was just asking for a list of file formats that it supports, and which you've just given, and what is the internal storage capacity?
So the actual capacity is about 64 gigabytes. I think about 43 gigabytes is available to the user. And then, as I mentioned, we can support USB drives and micro SD. We do support XC, so exFAT cards and drives, which means pretty much as large as they go.
Great stuff. And then Paul just asked, what is the size and weight of the Braille eMotion?
Oh, I never
about
remember
the size of a Focus 40.
I would say that it's about the size of a Focus 40 without the bumpers on the side. So if you remove those, then it's going to be, and the weight's probably similar. I don't know if Michael Coe is here. If he is, he might actually have the exact dimensions and weight. He probably does. I never memorize those things.
I know. Me neither. That's all the chat for now, Stuart.
Okay, and that is all the raised hands as well. So I just want to mention the price because we had a couple of people asking about that. So in UK sterling, it's 2,545. I have not done the euro conversion for that just now, but we can obviously, if people want euro pricing, please get in touch with us. But that's the pricing in sterling at the moment.
As I mentioned to you, for those of you who are, using other distributors, you do need to contact them directly as far as pricing, availability. We can't answer any of that here. This is just for the UK and Ireland.
Okay, I see we have a raised hand from Voldy. So I'm just going to bring Voldy in. Voldy, you should be able to unmute yourself. We have you.
Hi everybody. My Braille Sense U2 supports, I'm a chess player, and I have portable game notation files. The U2 supports this. Will this new machine do that?
I don't know what type of files those are. I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I can't. It's just a file type that you get chess.
No, I mean, what's the extension?
PGN.
That's interesting that you can open those.
Yeah, they open on the U2 certainly, and I
do they open in the word processor?
Yes, it says do you want to open with word processor, and you just press enter and it works.
I would say that the likelihood is that it would, but I can't guarantee that. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the file type, but as a rule, we are sort of based on most of the same things for the notepad. So I would say that you would probably get that same option. If do you want to open it in the notepad? I'm thinking it's converting it to text and just opening it as a text file. So it'll probably do.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you very much indeed.
Voldy, I think you're in the UK. If you want to send me an email with one of the files, we'll test it for you.
That's very kind.
And let you know if you want to
really
do that,
kind.
just drop me an email.
That's really kind.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay. Sorry. Okay, let me just have a quick look. We have another message, another hand from Desmond, another hand from Matthew. So might as well bring these lads in as well. So Desmond, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Yes. Hi.
Yeah.
I suppose I'm struggling to with rationales about whether to have the Braille Sense 6 or this machine, and in the practical sense, in that I walk around with a Braille machine, take notes as I go along, and then go back and sort of print them, that sort of thing. But does this come with a case then, or anything like that?
Sure. Yeah, it does come with a carrying case and a strap. And
I mean, a usable carrying case in that you can open it and type as you walk.
Yeah. For those who know what the Brilliant case looks like, it's kind of a folio. Of course, it's very long and slim, but it's that same idea. So you can fold it underneath and use it while it's in.
Oh, why wonderful! Thank you.
All right, Desmond, thank you for your question. And Matthew, you should be able to unmute yourself.
We can, yeah. Hopefully a simpler question this time. Thank you for your patience. It supports DAISY audio and text, which is very good. If I have a synchronized DAISY audio and text book and I play the audio, will the Braille display track the audio, provided that the DAISY book has got that level of synchronization? And vice versa, when I'm reading on the Braille display, if I cursor route to where I am and then start playing, will the audio track the Braille?
I don't know about your second question. I know your first one, yes. I actually don't have a lot of these books. They don't produce many of them in the United States. So
no, well, we don't produce many of them in the UK either. But I have a reason. I'm working with an organisation called the Brailleist Foundation on a on-demand Braille course, and we would quite like to produce a synchronized audio and text book to support that. And if the Braille eMotion would support that, that would be very helpful. So I'm glad it does.
Yeah, it does support the synchronization as far as while you play. Whether or not you could use you would of course be able to go via heading, etc. So the general navigation that you would have would route both. But I think you asked about cursor keys, and that I don't know about that.
Okay.
So
I mean the audio to text is more useful than the text to audio for the particular use case. So if it supports that way, it probably does support the other way. So I'm satisfied with the answer. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Matthew. Okay, I think that's all the raised hands we have. It is all the raised hands. Sharon, I think I saw one or two things popping in. I don't know if you wanted to mention anything else.
Yes, there's some more questions here. Does the device have a user replaceable battery?
No, it is built in.
It's built in.
Yeah.
And how long does the battery last between charges?
Well, we are officially saying 20 hours. However, they've gotten about 22 and a half. So it's going to, of course, be a little bit variable depending on what it is that you're doing. For example, if you have 5 Bluetooth devices connected, it's probably going to run down a bit faster. But for the most part, yeah, it's pretty long. You're going to get a couple days out of it, and I have not found that. I mean, I can go. It just depends on, of course, how long, how much you use it. But I've gone several days without charging it, so it's pretty long. So yeah, officially 20 hours.
Official. And what Android operating system is it running?
I
underneath?
believe
Yes.
it's 12, but honestly, in
12.
a device like this, it really doesn't make a difference because it's all internal
It's
applications.
underneath, yeah. And I think that's it. Oh, can you connect to an iPhone? Oh, yes, I can answer that. Yes, you can. And
Yes.
that's all the questions on chat.
All right. Thank you, Sharon. We have one more. This is going to be the last question, folks, because we're nearly out of time. So we have Arthur Pirica back again. So Arthur, you should be able to unmute yourself. And there you
go. So follow-up question to the iPhone question just now. In the Bluetooth mode, is that an HID Bluetooth? So
It
do we
is
go
not.
via it? Okay, so it's the traditional. All right,
Yeah.
good to know.
So the HID right now is only supported via USB. The HID Braille standard. So we do use the normal Bluetooth Braille. Well, I don't know if I would say normal, but traditional. Let's call it traditional.
Yeah.
So that is what we
All
use.
right. So you go via voiceover settings to pair the Braille display. Yep.
That's correct. Yep.
All right. Cool.
All right. Thank you, Arthur. And thank you, everybody, for your questions and your interaction today. I think it's been a really useful session. Thank you, Jenny, for giving us your time so early in the morning, because I know you're working all sorts of hours. So we are very grateful to you for coming along and helping us out.
And thanks always for your patience with me. I do get nervous when I do these presentations. I won't lie to you. So I tend to forget things, and I did forget to describe the Braille display part of it. So I'm so glad somebody asked that. I just went right below the Braille display. So anyway, we do have one.
It's been really interesting. So any follow-up questions, especially for people joining us today in the UK or here in Ireland, get in touch with us at sales@sightandsound.co.uk, and we'd be very happy to answer those. We're back for our next webinar on Wednesday, the 1st of May. Looking forward to joining everybody then. Until then, have a good month. Look after yourselves, and thank you for joining us. And thanks again, Jenny.
All right. Thanks to you.